Imagine being a little kid again. You're back in your childhood home. There's one place in that house that always gives you the creeps: the basement. It's the kind of spot that seems to hold every shadow and mystery your young mind can conjure up. Everything that ever scared you feels like it's hiding down there just beyond the last step. Now picture your dad noticing how much this place scares you. He sees the worry in your eyes and decides it's time to face this fear together. So one day, he takes you by the hand and leads you to that daunting staircase. You expect him to flip on the lights, chase away the shadows with the bright overhead bulbs, but he doesn't. Instead, he keeps the lights off, guiding you into the dark. As you step into the cool, shadowy basement, it's completely silent except for the sound of your own breathing. Your dad leads you across the room, and you can barely make out the shapes of old furniture and boxes stored away. He finds a couch and sits down, pulling you close. Sitting there in the dark, your dad doesn't start lecturing. He doesn't tease or make light of your fears. Instead, he just holds your hand tightly and starts talking about everyday things. Maybe the latest baseball game or what you did at school that day. As his calm voice fills the space, the basement doesn't feel so scary anymore. What's really happening in that dark, cold room is a beautiful moment of peace and reassurance. Your dad's presence makes all the imagined terrors vanish. They were just that, imaginations. Nothing truly bad is lurking in the dark. It's just an ordinary basement. This story isn't just about a kid and their dad. It's a powerful picture of how we can deal with our own fears as adults. Think about the basements in your life. Maybe it's a challenging job, a personal failure, or a difficult relationship. These fears can feel overwhelming, dark, and isolating. But just like in the story, you're not alone in facing them. Think of God like that reassuring presence of your dad. When you're gripped by fear or worry, God is there to hold your hand and walk you through the dark places. You might not see the light switch flick on immediately, solving all your problems, but His presence brings a deep, lasting peace. The Bible tells us about this kind of peace. It says that God isn't just a bringer of peace. He is the God of peace. He's there in the middle of our mess, our fears, and our darkest basement saying, let's walk through this together. You can lean on that. When things get tough with your kids or when work feels too much to handle, remember to hold on to God's hand. Remind yourself of His size and strength, how He's got everything under control, even when life feels out of control. So, next time you find yourself facing a basement of your own, don't shy away or tackle it alone. Reach out for that reassuring hand. Walk into your fears, knowing you're not stepping into the darkness alone. God is with you, ready to sit it out and talk through whatever's on your mind until peace replaces fear. What you'll find, as you trust more and fear less, is that the deepest peace comes not from the absence of trouble, but from the presence of God. Remember, you're His child, cherished and never forsaken, no matter what shadows might loom. That's the kind of truth that lights up even the darkest basements of our lives. So, you see, when you look up at the night sky and see the stars scattered like diamonds across the black canvas, remember who put them there. That same God who flung the stars into space is looking out for you. He's got the whole universe in His hands, and yet He's concerned about your fears, and worries. If he can keep the vast cosmos in order, imagine how well he can manage the worries that weigh you down. What's really there to be scared of when you're cared for by such a mighty God? Now think about this. When fear tries to sneak into your thoughts, it's trying to blur that comforting truth. Fear tells you that you're alone, that you're powerless. You're covered by God's powerful love. We may not see him sitting next to us, but his promise to be our ever-present help is sure and steadfast. He's right there with you, in the thick of your darkest moments, whispering, "I'm here." Sometimes it's just about holding on to those words, especially when you feel like you're walking through life alone. Maybe it's late at night, or you're facing a situation that seems too big to handle. Remember, you're not on your own. Repeating to yourself, "God is with me," can change the feel of those long, lonely nights or those daunting challenges. Take a leaf out of Winston Churchill's book during those moments. He faced the terrifying reality of World War II with a spirit that refused to bow to fear. He acted unafraid, choosing to trust instead of tremble. This isn't about denying your fear, but about deciding not to let it control you. You walk forward, trusting that God is walking right beside you, guiding your steps. So, what is your fear stopping you from doing? What dreams are you holding back from because the what-ifs seem too big? Remember, each step you hold back is a moment of life not fully lived. God is waiting to show you just how much more he can do in your life, beyond what you can even imagine. Your fears might feel big, but God is infinitely bigger. Think of life as a bumpy plane ride described earlier. Sure, it can be scary with its sudden drops and shakes. But whose hands are you in? If you trust the pilot, you can lean back and find peace amidst the turbulence. In life, Jesus is your pilot. When you trust him, the journey might still be rough, but fear won't be your constant companion. Peace will take its place, knowing that he is in control. As you go about your days, keep this image close to your heart. Every time you feel overwhelmed by fear, picture Jesus, the pilot of your life, steering you through. He's got the controls and he knows exactly where you're going. You don't have to be afraid. With Jesus, you're in the safest hands. Just hold on tight and let him lead you through the storms. Peace is not just possible, it's promised.